Hello everybody, welcome. This is the Daily Horizon View and the date is the 4th of the 6th, 2019. As always, we're taking a look at the ASX exchange traded funds and this is the top 5's. Spotlight today is QAG, which is the BetaShares Agriculture ETF currency hedge synthetic. This is KrackTheSky and we're here to give you guys financial education, build your confidence and get you guys investing for yourself. So please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, but please watch along. I think we'll learn a great deal of information just to see what's happening in the world of investing and especially ETFs, which is our focus here. So top 5 percentage rises. Today we saw GDX, MNRS, QR, QAG and QRE. So still getting quite a lot of influence from the trade talks and all that kind of stuff, or trade war I should say, between America and China. There's still quite a lot of things to wash through there. So we'll still see a lot of volatility in commodities. That's my guess anyway. So today we saw quite a few people buying into gold and gold-related ETFs and commodity type stuff. So GDX, which is the VanEck Vectors Gold Miners ETF, that tracks the New York Stock Exchange ARCA Gold Miner Index, and that's probably it is the largest ETF listed on the Australian index at $12.3 billion market cap or thereabouts. So today we saw a percentage rise of 3.25%, which equates to $1.02. Very strong volume today. We saw 49,400 shares traded. Catching up on the top percentage falls for the day, we saw UBU, SSO, HAC, China New and NDQ. So for those of us who are unfamiliar with UBU, that is the UBS IQ MSCI USA Ethical ETF. So that aims to replicate the performance of the MSCI USA ex tobacco, ex controversial weapons index. So a quasi-ethical type of ETF there. We saw a percentage fall of 3.31%, which equated to $1 on a very low volume of 123 shares traded. So that's quite a small ETF, that one. Following along now to the top of the dollarizers, we saw IJH, IHVV, ETPMPT, QR, GDX. So IJH is the iShares S&P Mid-Cap 400. That tracks the performance of the mid-cap sector in the US. Sort of a medium-sized ETF, I suppose, so small to medium. There's 106 million market cap for that one or thereabouts. There's a small dividend yield of 1.28%. So we saw a rise today of $2.20, and that equates to 0.84% on a pretty low volume for that one. That's a smallish ETF as mentioned. So we saw 323 shares traded. Moving along now to the top dollar falls, top $5 falls. We saw UBU, Tech, CETF, IAV and IZZ. So I probably don't need to really have a look at UBU again, but yeah, suffice to say it's on quite a small volume there. Top 5 number of trades, we saw VAS, STW, IVV, NDQ, and VGS. For those who may have forgotten, VAS is the Vanguard Australia Share Index ETF, and that tracks the S&P ASX 300. That one's quite a popular ETF. You'll see a market cap of roughly $3.5 billion. This one has a nice little dividend yield, so you'll see a 4.45% yield on that one. Morningstar has given a reasonable rating of bronze, so definitely one I would look at if you're looking for a ETF that tracks the ASX 300. Number of trades today on this one, we saw 262 trades. On the buy side, we saw a rise of 18 cents, which equated to 0.22%. Top 5 movers in the volume sphere here, we saw QRE, ETHI, OZR, ZYUS, and NDQ. OQR is the BetaShares Australia Resources ETF that tracks the performance of the sole active Australia Resources Sector Index. It's a pretty small ETF, so it's got about $32 million market cap. And you get a little dividend of roughly 3.62%. So volume for QRE, we saw 234,900 shares traded. On the buy side, by the look of it, because we saw a 10-cent rise, which equates to 1.58%. Top 5 for value: IVV, STW, VAS, VGS, STW. For those who may have forgotten, IVV is the iShares S&P 500 ETF, and that seeks to track the price and yield performance of the US large cap stocks. Obviously, that tracks the S&P 500 index. That one's a reasonably large ETF as well, so there's just over $3 billion market cap for that one. Smallish dividend of 1.67%, highly rated by Morningstar, so definitely if you're looking for an international ETF, this is one to look at. So this one gets a gold rating from Morningstar. Value-wise, for IVV, we saw $7 million or thereabouts traded today. Value of the trades today looks to be most of the movements on the upside, because we saw a increase in price of 8 cents, which equated to 0.02%. Overall, wasn't a overly spectacular day on the market anyway. It looks like everything's pretty much down, so still waiting for China and America to sort their shit out. Yeah, it's everything's kind of in a holding pattern until then. Let's move on to our spotlight today, which is QAG or QAG, which is a BetaShares Agricultural ETF, currency hedged and synthetic. So the ETF provides investors with a simple way to gain exposure to the performance of a basket of the most globally significant agricultural commodities. So we're looking at corn, wheat, soybeans, and sugar. So it's currency hedged, so against movements in the AU/US dollar exchange rate. The why factor, why would I bother investing in this? So the ETF provides exposure to the performance of the basket of global commodities, as mentioned just before. So that's a simple way to obtain exposure to soft commodities, which are corn, wheat, soybeans, sugar. So soft commodities are primarily used in the production of food, drinks, and textiles. Kind of gone over the currency hedge with the Australian US dollar there. So really it aims to track the performance of the index, which is based on commodities futures. Look through this. So we have a net asset value, roughly $5.86 per share, trading above the net asset value of $5.99. Quite a small ETF, this one, so looking at $3.2 million. Very, very high management fee, 1.44%. So there's no distribution, so that's a nil. Obviously the dividend yield is 0 as well. So this ETF could be used in a few different ways, such as if you were to take a position on a future upside in soft commodities. So commodities typically are seen to have a low correlation to other investments, such as fixed interest, equities, and most other asset classes. So I'm not a great fan of synthetic ETFs. For instance, with the BetaShares Agriculture ETF, this doesn't track a weighted average spot price of corn, wheat, soybeans, or sugar. What this does, the ETF actually invests in doesn't invest in physical holdings, but rather buys futures contracts related to the price of oil or food, respectively. So it's not actually buying the physical commodities. It's looking at futures contracts, which I view as quite dangerous. There's something I wouldn't invest in my own money in. So therefore, I wouldn't actually invest via an ETF using this type of instrument either. Another point here is the management cost of 1.44% is quite high, and that's another negative for me. Also, when we have a look at the next slide, performance just hasn't been there either. So have a look at QCB or food as alternatives. I think food is probably a better alternative because that actually has a broader suite of companies, so it's not just soft commodities or whatever. It's got some other agricultural related companies in there. I've reviewed both those before, so if you go through my videos, you can actually see the reviews on those ones. Definitely worth having a quick look through the old videos to pick out those reviews, help you with your research as well, speed things. So as mentioned, I didn't really like the performance. I think the numbers say it all, so since inception, you're looking at a loss of 8.44% per annum. And they have a look at the graph on the right hand side here. It's a pretty terrible graph, and I don't think you're really making any money by investing in this ETF. Definitely not right now at the moment anyway, so I'd say it's probably an ETF for another time, or just a complete pass, because it's a synthetic ETF, and yeah, there's a few gremlins involved in that whole process. So anyway, thanks. So as always, we're not promoting any particular ETF or product, purely information here. So you need to take your own financial situation into account and get additional information and complete further research as and where required before we make any purchases. As mentioned before, we're here to give you financial just information, I suppose, trying to demystify the whole world, make it not as scary as it appears at times. So we're here to crack your financial sky, make you guys a bit more confident if we can. So give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell because you want to know when the new videos come through. Sometimes I try to get them out at the end of every day, but sometimes it just doesn't happen depending on what else I'm doing at the time. Thanks, guys. Leave a comment. Yes, give us a like. Greatly appreciated. Catch you tomorrow. Ciao.